first of all, Dec, we ended the season last week. It was a good win against Galway on Friday night. So what was your impression of the season overall?
Yeah, I guess overall, Aaron, disappointing to begin with, it has to be said. We went into the season with a lot of excitement, and everyone was well up for it from everyone all across the club. We were excited to get going, and then unfortunately it didn't go to plan. I think the first third of the season is potentially what really hampered us, but I guess the real positives of the season we have to take away is the last 2/3 of the season, ultimately, when we came into a bit of form there in the summer, and the crowd started to come back, and I think it's given everyone even more confidence now for 2022 with the strong finish that we had, and some of the very strong performances we got from a lot of the players that will hopefully be here again next season. So overall, look, did it go as we expected it to go? It probably didn't, but ultimately it was great to see the fight that the lads put up, and again the Cork crowd coming out towards the end of the season to really kind of spur them on as well and pick up a few very positive results that will certainly bode well for the future.
And coming off that then, heading into next season and 2022 in general, what's the goal of, I suppose, the board, and from Colin's point of view, his goal then as well?
Yeah, one word really, Aaron: promotion. So look, I think ultimately, look, I'm a City supporter most of my life, and everyone listening and watching this are the same. They don't want us down in the first division for too long more, and we're all of the same opinion, and everyone will be fully united towards that goal for next season. We've had a number of conversations with Colin so far, started to put together plans for additions to the squad for 2022, and we should start seeing some really some pace building up there in terms of announcements of players and the squad for next season. He's had an improved budget as well for next season, one that we feel is going to make us really competitive amongst the other teams. Obviously there's differences in terms of other teams' budgets for next season as well. We don't know who's going to be promoted, relegated down from the Premier Division, and ultimately we'll have to play that by how it goes. But ultimately we feel we'll be in a very strong position to be in the upper parts of the table for the majority of the season, and that's where we want to be and expect to be, and that's where the fans expect us to be, and that's what we want to deliver for the supporters.
Away from the first team then, if we look to the academy, one of the big positives this year was bringing in Liam Carney as head of academy, which was the job Colin had beforehand. Probably fair to say he's done a good job.
Yeah, geez, that's probably an understatement, and it's just carrying on the great work that Colin was doing with the academy in years prior. A lot of these players have been with the club now for a number of seasons. Like, I guess if you look at the progression to the first team, the obvious one is Cathal Heffernan making his debut there, the youngest ever player to play for the club now last Friday. Josh Honahan has been around the first team now for a while as well, but hampered with injuries, but great to see him coming back. And Cian Murphy as well, finishing the season as one of the First Division's top scorers, and that's great to see as well. He's been around the first team now for a couple of seasons, but he's really spurred on this season. And look, the other names you know as well from seeing the games every week: Cian Bardry, Ben Whitmarsh, the Ronan Hurley, the names and the list go on. It's great to see, and I think that's what really brings out the Cork crowd as well, to be honest, is seeing local lads progress up through the academy and ultimately see them play in front of large crowds on Friday night. And they'll grow with that experience that they've had as well from the last third of the season when we were able to bring fans back into the stadium, and I feel they'll even push on again now in the next couple of years, and really become very strong players for the club, and they've represented us very well. And yeah, I have to say it's great to see as well the international call-ups that have been spun across all age groups of the academy. Franco, Liam, Cathal, Mark all playing for Ireland, and getting goals and captaining teams and winning games, and it's great to see as well. And we have coaches involved here as well that have helped out that Ireland structure as well, and everyone's learning. It's a continuous improvement initiative. The academy it's not just all about getting results, it's about progressing players to the first team ultimately, but even still they're still seeing continued success as well. Numerous cup finals across the women's team as well, the men's academies. It's just great to see, and massive kudos to Liam there on that, and Colin as well.
So away from the on the pitch stuff, then something that comes up and is a topic of conversation a lot is the licensing period for the League of Ireland. What's the situation with that at the moment, and the club's current financial situation, I suppose?
Yeah, I guess we've probably never been in a more positive cash flow position, Aaron, to be honest. And I signed a couple of forms this morning for licensing purposes, and everything's progressing well with the FAI. I don't think we'll have any issues whatsoever We'll definitely be there on the pitch come February, whoever it is that we face off against in our first game. Hopefully it's a home game, if anyone from the FAI is watching this one. But everything's progressing very positively, and look, hopefully we those dark days of the situation we were in around 2 years ago are well behind us now. We've been able to restructure the club, especially from a financial aspect, very well over the last 2 years. Connor and Aina have been working tirelessly on that, and it's bearing fruits now when we get to something like this, where the licensing process just becomes a tick box exercise, and fans and supporters and our shareholders and for us don't have to worry about it, and we'll take care of everything. And we don't expect any hiccups, thankfully. Should be a pretty relaxing Christmas for once.
Brilliant. So a couple of weeks ago you announced that the club's doing a lot of work with the City Council to improve the facilities in Bishopstown and stuff like that, and there's been a lot of work gone on in Bishopstown over the last 12 months or so. So is there more plans for the off-season, or...?
Yeah, we've done a lot of work with the City Council actually. That you mentioned it, we've leveraged the sports capital grants and made numerous improvements here to Bishopstown. There's been, Barry, the groundsman's done tireless work there, and he's looking more long term as well. I think that's definitely something that emanates through all aspects of the club. Is especially Bishopstown, it hasn't been developed or invested in well over decades. It's an aging training ground, but we have over the last 2 years put so much resources into it. We've improved the players' recreation areas. We've improved the pitches. We've invested in a new lawnmower that was badly needed for many years. I'm sure Barry will appreciate that. And these are all investments that we make for the long term that will ultimately reduce running costs and make this training ground a nice place to come. Ultimately, when Colin over the next couple of weeks is bringing players to Bishopstown to show them around, we don't want to show them an aging stadium that hasn't got some TLC in a long time. And we're confident now that and Colin's got this feedback from players himself as well, that the training ground set up here and the structures that we have in place and the gym facilities and, as I said, the recreational areas and the training pitch as well is up there with the quality of most League of Ireland grounds, to be honest. And that's a great thing to be able to showcase to potential players and even commercial partners as well that come to Bishopstown for meetings as well. This place is our hub for the foreseeable, and it has to be in as best shape as possible to give the best representation of Cork City FC that we can give, and giving it a facelift wherever we can, and putting investments in wherever we can is certainly worthwhile and does pay fruits in the long term.
Aside from the investment stuff in Bishopstown, then another thing the fans would be talking about a lot and interested in is they'd be looking for updates on the potential takeover of the club. So do we have anything to share at the moment on where we are with that? Yeah,
no major updates on it, Aaron. Look, obviously, again, our deepest condolences go to the Hemmings family for the tragic loss of Mr. Trevor Hemmings. It's an extremely sad time for everyone involved in Preston and Grovemore, and Mr. Hemmings and his family, his children. I can only imagine the struggles and the issues that they're trying to navigate through at the moment. And ultimately, we are and do have a very positive business relationship with Grovemore. They rescued the club from oblivion less than 2 years ago, and we're very grateful for that. We always will be grateful for Mr. Hemmings and the gratitude that he showed the club and the love he showed to Cork football and Cork City FC. But ultimately, we'll be ready to reinitiate those conversations when the Hemmings family are ready to do so. The one thing that Grovemore have always reiterated to us is that they will ultimately do what's best for Cork City FC in the long term, and they haven't shown any behaviours to say that they'd deviate from that at all through any time we've ever dealt with them over the last couple of years. I'm very confident that they'll continue to look out for Cork City FC's best interests, as they've promised to do and as they've upheld up to now.
So Dex, circling back there on one of our academy teams, the under-17s actually went to Coventry last week and took part in the Sky Blue Cup with Coventry City and a few other English clubs. How did that come about, first of all?
Yeah, that's something actually we've been working very hard in the background. When I say we, I probably mean specifically John Paul, who's on the board, and Aina, and Liam obviously as well. Look, Cork is twinned with Coventry, and John Paul has links with work he's done previously for the City Council, and that's proved to be enormously beneficial, especially as I mentioned there with the sports capital grant applications, and he's well able to navigate through that very complex process that only he has the experience and the skills to do. But yeah, we as I said, been working on that with the city council. It's something we hope to grow. It's not a short-term thing. We hope to have more regular trips like this for our academy teams. It was a huge honour to go over there and play and represent the club, I'm sure, for the players and the coaches involved with the academy teams. And it's something that we're very proud that we were able to do for them as well. They work tirelessly week in, week out. They're out here on Tuesday and Thursday nights in the cold training these players, and it's nice to be able to send them away and play in an event like this against 3 other prestigious academy teams across the UK. And even better again that we were able to bring home the trophy, and that will be proudly displayed down in City Hall, and we've delivered that for the city, and it's ultimately, again, as I said, something we hope to build on in years to come. We hark back to the famous trip to Shanghai as well back in the early 90s when City went over there and played, and this is something that is akin to that, and something that we'll hope to build on now, and as I said, in the future. But extremely positive week overall for the club, aside from winning the Sky Blue Cup. The under-17s qualified for the cup final, the under-15s qualified for the cup final, the under-15s are in the Shield final, the women's under-17s qualified for the cup final. We had that win over Galway. We launched season tickets. It was probably one of the more positive weeks of the club that I've been involved in. There was just so much good news around, and especially from the academy areas, and planning for next season as well.
And just on the academy then again, Cork Credit Unions are obviously partners of the academy. We had Oxford and Geno's involved as well this year, but there was a few other commercial partnerships and deals struck up as well this year with a view to next season as well. Yeah,
it's actually something that's probably one of the biggest impacts again that people don't see from COVID, and also the Brexit impacts as well that hit us at the start of the year with supply chain issues and contracts that we had agreed with various partners and vendors in the UK and across Europe, and it's an extremely difficult one, but we're extremely grateful for all the partners that support the club, especially local Cork businesses that support academy teams, even Brian Lennox now as well, having Jackie Lennox on the front of the women's shirt, Oxford, Geno's, as you've mentioned, Cork Credit Unions, the Cork Airport, they've all renewed their support for the club. Easy Living Interiors as well have come on now, and they'll be a very valued partner in years to come. And we've some exciting announcements to make with regards to their partnerships with the club and associations with Turner's Cross as well in the coming days, and something that will get fans and our commercial partners and friends of the club very excited. But yeah, overall can't express enough gratitude to the local businesses that have continued to support the club during these very difficult times financially, to be honest. When ultimately we managed the COVID situation from a cash flow perspective particularly well. Conor again, working tirelessly with the club staff, having regular cash flow meetings and keeping things ticking over and making sure that we didn't have any challenges with paying back creditors or paying wages and salaries. And there is a lot of admin work involved as well when there's no crowds coming into Turner's Cross. People think it makes life a lot easier, but ultimately it doesn't. And Erica does a lot of work there as well in her role as COVID compliance officer, and she does so much more on top of that as well and goes above and beyond. But yeah, everyone's just really kind of put their utmost behind what we needed to do for the first 6 months of the season, especially when things were particularly challenging. But we couldn't have done it without the support of all our commercial partners and our friends of the club. Now I'm going to refer to them as really, rather than commercial partners. That's a bit too formal.
As you mentioned there, that Easy Living, obviously one of our club partners now as well, and last week at the Galway game we launched the new lounge in Turner's Cross, the Easy Living Suite. Great to have something like that to offer commercial partners now as well.
Yeah, we had what I call the soft launch of that at the Galway game. We trialled it with our key friends of the club, as you say. I'll stop using that commercial partners term. And it was very well received. And again, the investment that Easy Living have made here in Turner's Cross and ultimately in Cork City FC into our future as well is just unbelievable. Another local Cork-owned company. They deserve the support of all City supporters and Forest shareholders wherever you can. If you need to buy a couch or a bed, head to Easy Living. But yeah, ultimately it's going to be the envy of clubs all across the league. Again, go back to what I said at the beginning. We're in the first division here, and we've top class facilities. We've top class stadium. We have these facilities now that Easy Living are helping provide the club as well. And ultimately we want to be in the top division in the country to showcase these to a wider audience again. And we've received very positive feedback from anyone who's attended the Easy Living Suite and had the tour. It's full of Cork City FC memorabilia. There's a number of packages available to be able to enter the Easy Living Suite on match night, and those will be announced in due course. And it's just fantastic to see. And the main thing I hear from a lot of folks that do walk in there is that it's a long time coming, and it's great now that we will be able to host our friends of the club and supporters in a room like this in Turner's Cross, and provide them with such a valuable experience on match day.
So Dec, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. I suppose finally, do you have any message for City supporters as we head into the off-season?
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is that the season ended for us last Friday, but there's just so much happening around the club now over the next couple of months. Like, I think we have the photo shoot for the new jersey, and that's going to be revealed next week. Very exciting to see the reaction to that as well. I think it will be very positive. We announced the launch of season tickets, the 100 Club. We've so much merchandise available now in the club shop. Like, one thing we've strived for as a club and as a board is to allow supporters to support the club in any way they can, whether that be buy a beanie hat or join the 100 Club. So there's so many ways that you can support the club, and ultimately the more ways that fans and supporters come in and support us in this off season means more resources we can give to the first team and the academy for next season to help build upon the progress we've made already. Like, next year we'll have a young, hungry squad who've had the experience now of the first division behind them. They'll be, in a much stronger frame of mind going into next season with the confidence that they've built from 2021. Colin will bolster that with new signings and experienced signings that will come in as well and really get us up the table and make the changes needed that will, have us competing for promotion. One other thing as well is on the season tickets, we have offered supporters from 2020 and 2021 a discounted offer on season tickets as well. So just want to put that out there to make sure that if you are purchasing a season ticket and you are a loyal season ticket holder from those two very difficult years, there is a discount available. And also season ticket holders from this year, we did have a rebate process as well where, in the event that we didn't have enough games to satisfy the quantity of matches in a season ticket, they'd get vouchers back in the club shop. So we have had supporters contact us with questions on that, and supporters as well. I'd like to say thanks to the supporters that won't be taking that rebate back. That's very much appreciated, but we will be reaching out to all season ticket holders from last season as well to confirm the rebate amounts depending on the games that were available and the games that they attended. So that's something to just keep an eye out for. But hugely exciting couple of weeks ahead for the club. As I said, it's going to be an exciting Christmas period. The team will be going back to pre-season training as well towards the end of the year, hopefully with a few new faces, and Colin will have the bit between his teeth to really drive the lads on up the table now, and that's ultimately what we need, and we need the whole of Cork behind us to help us achieve that.